Greetings, everyone. Today we want to talk about Chapter 13, Views. Now, surprisingly, you know a lot about views already. Um, they are basically a way of storing a select statement. And so we're going to go over that today. And what you're going to see is that it actually creates an object in your database, which you can use many, many times over. So right now we're going to take a look at our AP database, okay? And right now, let me share the screen out here. Always forget to share the screen. As you can see, there's a view tree that we can look at all the views that were created specifically for this database. So the database is the parent of views, okay? So if we look at the views, currently we don't have any user-defined views, but we're going to change that shortly. But there are plenty of system views out there already. Let's take a look at some of them. These are all views, okay? And these are predefined select statements, okay? For example, if I wanted to take a look at all the objects in my database, I could use this view and I can pretty much run it like a select statement, okay? Once you create a view, you use it just like a table. The only difference is a view is not updatable for all intents and purposes. You have to, you can only see data from views. But you can do other things with views that are just like tables. For example, let's say I only want to see all my tables. I can use a where clause, okay? Where type, I just happen to know this, equals dot u, which are user defined tables. And if we execute it, it shows us all of our user tables for this database, okay? All right, we're going to close this baby down. So let's go to our notes. No, I do not want to save. So we're going to go to our notes and we're going to look at that. Let's say, for example, there's actually two ways to create views. I'm going to show you the hard way. Actually, this is the way I used all the time. This view we're going to make is going to take some vendor data, okay, the name, the state, the phone. We're going to call it vendors min. In other words, we're going to minimize what we're reviewing from the vendors table. And so let's go ahead and let's create this view from the vendors table, okay? So we go back and what we're going to do is I'm going to unexpand this, okay? And we're going to do a new query. And like every object that you're going to be creating in the next 3 chapters, you're going to use the create command. And in this case, we're going to create a view. Now, you can call this view whatever you want. I know they called it vendors min. I'm going to call it VW vendors. This is just a standard that I started using a long time ago, that all my views start like that, okay? And you could do as, and then you basically put in the select statement, okay? And in this case, we can expand the vendors table out and see what fields we want. Okay, and here it is. Here's all the columns. We only want vendor name. Vendor state. Let me just take a look at the notes and verify that. And the vendor phone number. Okay. And vendor phone number. Is that what, let me just look again. Why can't I remember? Okay, good. All right. And we're going to get this from vendors. Okay. Now, in theory, if I run this, it's going to not return any data. Okay. So it doesn't return any data because it's created an object to return the data. So now we can treat this like a table, like we would treat the vendor's table. So, and just to show you that it did create that, let's take a look at our views. And if we refresh, we now have our first view. Okay. And we can use this view like we use anything else. So I'm going to exit out of this. And now I don't need to save it. And I'll show you why. Because we have a lot of functionality here to work with views. Okay. We could do design. We can also take a look at the script that we just did. Okay. If I wanted to change the view, I could go into alter and it would provide whatever I needed to do to alter that view. Now it adds all this extra stuff. You don't really need it, but literally you could do something like this. Let's say I wanted to add state. Okay, let's say or city, I mean. Okay, now I can add that and it will change this view. Again, it doesn't return any data, just does it for us. Okay. Now, we don't have to save it because we know we can get to it. Let's go back to our notes. Now, let's say we want to use the view. Again, we're going to use the view just like a table, except it's going to be a view. Okay. And we really could get the same information from that. And we're going to try both ways. Okay. So let's go into our view, our SQL, and let's create a new query. And let's say we want to select asterisk from vendors, which is a table. Okay. So we're going to put this on another line. And if we execute it, returns all the columns. But let's say we wanted to only return vendors, the 4 columns that we put in the view. We could actually use our view at this point, and we call it vendors min. And if we ran this, now returns that. Now, all the things you did in a view, you can also do here. Okay. Just like any table. For example, if I only wanted to see the vendors from California, I could say where vendor state equals dot .ca. Okay. And it'll return all the vendors from California. Let's say I wanted to see all the vendors from every state that starts with a C. Okay, we could do whatever we can with a table, and that's the important thing. So we see California, of course. And I guess we only have California. Oh, wait, no, there's Connecticut right there. Okay. All right. Let's go back to our notes. Um, and this is another way to create a view. You know, for example, in this case, you may not want other investors to see what each person's net gain is. Okay. So this is a way, this is one of the good things about View. It can hide information you don't want people to see. Okay. For example, social security number, you might only want people to see the last four characters of social security number. You can make a view that only shows that. All right. Um, you can do calculations within views. Let's try to do this view right here. These are our outstanding invoices. Okay. Um, Now, just to let's go ahead and let's make this view. Again, all the rules apply. Okay. All the rules apply that apply for doing a regular select statement. Okay. And again, we're the three fields we're going to create, the four fields we're going to create. Um, they 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 use this to create the the things. We can do the exactly the same thing using as. Okay, right here. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. So what you would do is you would uh, create a view, and ideally what you're going to do is you're going to do your select statement first. Okay. So let's go ahead. Let's do a select. Um, and we're going to do what? Invoice number. Okay. Whoop. Number. Comma. Let's expand the invoice out. And I think it's invoice date. Um, invoice total. And then I believe we're going to do a calculation. Okay. So invoice total minus payment total minus credit total. And this will give us the balance due, and we can appropriately name that. Okay. And then we're going to get this from invoices, of course. And okay. And if we execute this, we're going to see, make sure it's running. And the view we're going to make is actually going to take the balance due. And we only see where we have the balance due is greater than zero. Okay. So we're going to name it outstanding balances. So we have to do this. And of course, as we remember, we cannot just use balance due. We have to put that formula in again. And and then we'll get rid of this and we say where this is greater than 0. Okay. And so we, again, as we're creating a view, do we check that out? And if we look at our views, again, we only have that one right now. So we're going to add the code in for to create the view. And again, I always like to start mine with VW. Using camel casing. Okay. Now, once I run this, it's not going to run anymore. Whoops. Oh, I forgot as. So if I run this, works. Now, if I refresh the views, I now have 2 views. And I really could use this. I don't need to save it because again, I have access to all this. If I want to play with it or make it new, I can go to alter or create even. Okay. So if I want to change it, I could. Okay. As it generates the view, so we could do that. Again, you don't need all this wording in there. Just a safeguard. You don't even need the schema in here. Okay. All right. Yeah. So let's try to run this. So what we can do is what we're going to do is we're going to open up a new query window, and we could do a select asterisk from VW outstanding balances. Okay. And if I run this, then it returns the data. And we could have put an order by in the view, but you can also put an order by right here. I can order by balance due descending. So we'll see the highest ones first. I gotta do an order by. All right. So, and then that's what it gives us. All right. And again, we don't need to save it. We could use the views just like we use these tables. Okay. Now, as we go back to our notes, they talk about idea of creating updatable views. Let me just say this. Don't do this. We don't need to update views. Okay. We don't need to do that. So this will not be in your test. And this shows some of the system views that have been pre-created. And I do use these. I have used these over the years. They're very powerful. So again, you're not going to mess up anything by using these. Okay. But they are out there. They're available for you to use. Okay. So this shows you one way to use the schema view. Okay. But I do want to show you one additional really cool thing. Okay. You can actually create views in using the GUI provided for you. once again, let's work with, we'll work with the vendors table. And this time, what we're going to do is we're going to create a view with some of the same columns that we use for this view. But we're going to add a filter in there, okay? Because currently there is no filter in here. If we look, those we look, we didn't put a filter in here, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to create a filter for 3 different states. Then we're going to do an order by state and then city. Okay. So first thing we want to do, let's take a look at. Let's go ahead and do that. So you're going to right click here, and you're going to click on New View, and SQL will kindly provide all the data for you. Okay. So what we're going to do, and I'm going to show you how to even do a join inside your view. Okay. And maybe I did show this in class, but this is actually one of the easy ways to create a join. Okay. So we're going to add 2 tables. Okay. We're going to add vendors and their corresponding invoices. Okay. And because they're already related, they are, a vendor can have multiple invoices. Okay, cool. Now, one of the things you can do here is you can go ahead and start adding fields. Okay, so we wanted what vendor name, vendor state. Yes, I put state first, vendor city, and then vendor phone number. And from the invoice table, let's just take invoice number and invoice date. Okay. And look how it's creating the SQL statement for you right here. Okay. Kind of cool. Now we said that we were going to put a where clause in there. Okay. So what we're going to do is we only want to see, vendors are from California, Michigan.
Okay, Brett. Oh, I forgot to I'm breaking up the party here.
And Ohio. Okay. Now we want to do an order by first state. That'll be our first sort. And then city. Okay. And so if we execute this, if we save this, it's actually going to create a view. And the way you save this, you just exit out. It says what you want to call your view. And we're going to say yes. We're going to call it VW vendors invoices. And we really should tell by what states we're using, but we'll just leave it at this for right now. Say okay. Okay, that's fine. All right. So we still, what this is telling us, we still have to do an order by if we want to see the order. Okay. So let's see what it creates for us. Okay. Now if we refresh, we now have a third view. And if we go into script, we can take a look at that. As it generates the script, and there it is. And so let's go ahead and let's try to run this view now. Okay. So again, we could do a new select. We can use it just like a table. We're going to do a select asterisk from VW, because I always name mine with VW. Vendors invoice. This. Okay. Now, if I run this, let's see what happens. Now, notice that while we did put the order by in our view, it did not come across like that. So, and what that message basically meant is that for top 1 or top 10%, that's why it's doing the order by. But other than that, you have to utilize, you have to put in your own order by. So let's say order by vendor state, comma, vendor city, comma, and we'll do vendor name. And if we run that now, it will put it in that order. So that's an easy way to create a view. It's actually an easy way to create a select statement. Even though we did this trying to create a view, you could actually, if we went in, if we design this, okay, we could wait a second, it didn't like that. I do design no. Yeah, there it is. You actually have the select statement that you can copy out of here and put into a new window. This would have been a great way to cheat for the class. Okay, and we get the same information. All right, I just wanted to show you that. That's a way to create a view. Going back to the notes, it's a very short chapter, obviously. I want you to, the one thing I do want you to understand is that views are extremely powerful. And they're also very fast. They're faster than a select statement. When you do a select statement, it's going to try to make a path about how it does everything. A view has this already created, and it makes it, it's just a really nice way to do things. Besides limiting information that people can see, it's actually pretty fast. So anyway, that's my little video on chapter 13. So hope you enjoy it. Talk to you later. Bye.